The crimson sun of Kepler 442b cast its dying light across the scorched remains of New Eden colony when Admiral Zara Chen received the transmission that would change everything. Her weathered hands trembled as she held the datapad, the numbers burning into her retinas like brands of horror. 800,000 children. Gone. Vaporized in a single coordinated strike by the Galactic Empire's enforcement fleet. The colony had been humanity's crown jewel, a thriving world where Earth's refugees had built schools, playgrounds, and dreams of a peaceful future among the stars. Children who had never seen Earth's blue skies learned to laugh under alien constellations, their voices echoing through biodomed cities that sparkled like jewels against the russet landscape. Now there was only silence. Captain Marcus Webb stood at attention in Chen's ready room aboard the Resistance flagship Defiance, his young face aged beyond its years by what he had witnessed. "Admiral," he began, his voice barely above a whisper, "the Empire's new doctrine is clear. They call it genetic pruning, the systematic elimination of human colonies to prevent what they term species contamination of their perfect galactic order." Chen's jaw clenched. The Zephyrian Empire had ruled the galaxy for millennia with cold efficiency, their crystalline cities spanning thousands of worlds. When humanity first ventured beyond their solar system 50 years ago, the Empire had initially viewed them as curious but harmless primitives. That changed when human ingenuity and adaptability began threatening their rigid social hierarchies. "The children weren't even warned," Webb continued, his hands balling into fists. "The Empire's cruisers dropped from hyperspace at dawn. By noon, every school, every nursery, every playground was nothing but glass and ash." The Admiral activated her holo display, showing the tactical readouts from their deep space reconnaissance probes. Red markers indicated Empire fleet movements, dozens of battle groups converging on human settlements across 3 star systems. The pattern was unmistakable. "They're not stopping with New Eden," she realized aloud. "This is the beginning of a war of extermination." Dr. Sarah Kim, the fleet's xenobiologist, stepped forward from where she had been analyzing the Empire's broadcast intercepts. "Admiral, there's something else. The Zephyrians are using our own children's biosignatures to track remaining human populations. Every DNA sample, every medical scan the Empire collected during the peaceful contacts phase, they're weaponizing it all." The weight of betrayal hung heavy in the recycled air. Humanity had shared their knowledge freely, believing in the possibility of peaceful coexistence. Children had played with Zephyrian younglings during cultural exchanges. Scientists had collaborated on medical breakthroughs. All of it had been preparation for this moment. Chen stood and walked to the viewport, gazing out at the swirling nebula that hid their small fleet from Empire sensors. 300 ships, all that remained of humanity's spacefaring forces. Behind them, 40 billion humans on Earth and scattered colonies lived in blissful ignorance of the death sentence hanging over their species. "Initiate Protocol Omega," she commanded. "Every ship, every station, every human outpost gets the same message. The Empire is coming. Scatter. Hide. Survive." Lieutenant Torres at the communications station looked up with tears streaming down her face. "Admiral, my daughter was on New Eden. She was 7 years old. She wanted to be a xenoarchaeologist, said she was going to find the galaxy's oldest civilizations and make friends with them all." The bridge fell silent, except for the hum of life support systems. Each crew member carried similar losses: children, grandchildren, siblings who had believed they were building a better future among the stars. "Then we honor her memory," Chen said firmly, "by making sure the Empire never succeeds in their genocide." Within hours, the warning spread through humanity's quantum communication network like wildfire. On Earth, President Martinez called for immediate evacuation protocols. colony worlds began hastily loading generation ships with whoever they could save. Research stations deep in asteroid fields went dark, hoping to avoid detection. But some chose to fight. Captain Elena Vasquez, commanding the mining vessel Prometheus's Fire, refused to run. "We're converting our cargo holds into weapons bays," she transmitted. "Every piece of mining equipment, every industrial fabricator, it's all becoming instruments of war. The Empire wants to exterminate us like vermin? Let them try." Similar messages poured in from across human space. Freighter captains volunteering their ships for suicide missions. Scientists working around the clock to weaponize their peaceful technologies. Teachers and farmers taking up arms with the desperate fury of parents protecting their young. The Zephyrian High Command watched these developments with cold calculation from their crystal spires. Supreme Overlord Kethvar reviewed the reports with crystalline eyes that reflected no warmth. The humans respond as predicted, his synthesized voice intoned. Their emotional attachments make them predictable. They will gather to fight, making our task simpler. But Admiral Chen had spent 30 years studying Empire tactical doctrine. She understood their weakness. They had never faced an enemy desperate enough to use their own compassion against them. "Attention, all human forces," her voice echoed across the communication network. "The Empire expects us to fight like them with honor, following their rules of engagement. They're wrong. We're going to fight like humans. We're going to be unpredictable, emotional, and absolutely ruthless. We're going to show them what happens when you murder our children." The first human retaliation came not from warships, but from a group of 12-year-old hackers on Europa Station. Working from their school's computer lab, they infiltrated the Empire's communication satellites and broadcast images of the New Eden massacre across every Zephyrian world. For the first time in their history, Zephyrian civilians saw the faces of the children their government had murdered. Young human faces frozen in playground laughter turned to statistics in military reports. The psychological warfare had begun. As news of the massacre spread to other species across the galaxy, ancient enemies of the Empire began offering covert support to humanity. Weapons appeared in dead drops. Safe harbor was quietly extended to fleeing refugees. The galaxy's conscience had been awakened by the image of 800,000 murdered children. Admiral Chen stood on her bridge, watching the stars wheel slowly past as her fleet prepared for humanity's greatest battle. They were outnumbered 10,000 to 1, outgunned by technology millennia more advanced than their own. But they carried something the Empire had never understood: the absolute fury of parents whose children had been taken from them. The warning had been sent. Humanity scattered to the cosmic winds, some to hide, others to fight. But in that scattering lay their strength. They were no longer bound to worlds or territories the Empire could target. They had become something far more dangerous, an idea that could not be destroyed. The children of New Eden would not be forgotten. Their laughter would echo in every act of resistance, every small victory against impossible odds, every moment when humanity chose hope over despair in the dark between the stars. The Empire had started a war of extinction. They were about to learn that some species, when cornered, become more dangerous than they ever imagined possible.